Emerald podcast series. Research that makes a difference.
On this episode, I am speaking with Dr. Nirit Weiss Blatt, former visiting research fellow at the University of Southern California, Annenberg School for Communication and Journalism. Her speciality is in the tech news field. Hi Nirit, it's great to have you here with us today. Thank you for your time. Are you keeping well?
Yes, I am, and I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Excellent, thank you. So let's talk about what we're doing today. So we're going to talk about your book called The Techlash and Tech Crisis Communication, which is due to be published as a paperback this March 2022. It would be amazing for us to hear about the book. We've got some really great questions here. So let's get started. So what led you to research the tech field and then to write a book about it?
I've been working in the tech field since 2005, 17 years ago. So before my academic journey, I was in the tech industry. I worked in both tech journalism and tech public relations. So for years, I made a lot of tech savvy pieces, enjoyed covering the cutting edge innovation coming from Israel. And when I was a deputy editor and finished my master's degree in communication and political science, I looked for academic examinations of my field, the tech coverage, and found none. Like a significant gap in the literature, a lack of both, theoretical and empirical work on the interplay between my worlds, the tech journalism and tech PR. So with my background in both, I decided to investigate it myself. So for 5 years of my PhD in communication, I analyzed the tech media agenda. One of the judges of this dissertation actually wrote, "Who cares about tech news?"
No.
Yes, it did. It was so into political communication and only political news that I needed to explain why tech journalism is actually important. Now, today, I don't need to do it anymore, right?
No.
But the beginning was tough, I must say. In the additional 5 years after that, as a research fellow at USC Annenberg, I focused on the emerging techlash, the tech backlash. And the thing is that when I started this research project in 2016, the tech media was not tough, like at all. So my criticism back then was about the cheerleading writing style, the non-investigative nature of the coverage, and like the immense influence of corporate PR. But in the course of my study, we moved from big tech being our saviors to our threats, or from, it's so cool, everything, and to it's so evil. So a lot has changed. And the research that I've done explains this massive shift, like reveals the underlying causes of the backlash and the strategies the companies use to defend themselves, from all the growing scrutiny. And I had so much data about it that it turned into a whole book that I gladly published with you.
It is really fascinating. And, there isn't really a point in time where we're not hearing something about these big tech companies, really, which I'm sure that professor that you had right at the start, he probably thinks back to how he responded when you first came to him with this.
Yeah.
But the book storyline is organized chronologically. So you've broken it down into pre-Techlash, Techlash, and then post-Techlash. That's a clear, concise way for any reader to understand the work. But can you talk us through why and what you've learned about those eras? One thing that I think would be really interesting is, what are sort of the defining milestones that mark the end and then the beginning of the new era?
Okay, sure. So I organized this story in this chronological order because the historical background is crucial here to understand the magnitude of the change. But each phase has several changes within, and it's not that dichotomic, but one of the book's points is that we're currently on the dystopian side because we spend a great deal of time on the utopian side. So the pre-Techlash era section depicts like for decades, the tech companies were used to mainly flattering coverage. Right? We had plenty of computer magazine that pushed the fanboy culture. All the tech CEOs wished to be on their covers. Kara Swisher, who was interviewed for the book, called it the celebrification of the tech founders. So they were like celebrities, like rock stars. And one of the things that were crucial in the past is how tech companies took advantage of like the hunger for information, and people wanted to be, close to those rock stars. And in this power dynamic, many conversations were on background, meaning the journalists cannot use or share any of the info gathered. So there was always like this tight control with secrecy and limited access. And this power imbalance, it's one of my points in the book, like heavily contributed to the tension between the media and big tech. Like the roots are in the past. And this is why the pre-Techlash era section like set the stage, like help explain the current tech journalist revolt, I can say. They had enough. They just had enough. But of course, like real life events shifted the tech coverage. And they all appear in the main section of the book. It's the Techlash Era, which starts in the end of 2016, but focus on 2017, and I can explain why. And the last chapter, the post-Techlash, is just about the growing criticism of big tech moving forward. So like predictions.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. I think the points about sort of these CEOs being rock stars, it's so interesting. And it is symptomatic of the kind of culture that we have, isn't it? So yeah, no, that's really interesting. Thank you. So the study within the work reveals the roots of the change in tech journalism. What are the main contributing factors that caused this shift?
Sure. So we in academia were yelling at the tech journalists that they have to be tougher on everybody, specifically big tech. And in 2017, as I said, tech journalists indeed began to get tougher. So what I've done, I used an AI-powered media monitoring tool by Harvard, and I retrieved more than 250,000 articles from the tech coverage.
Wow.
In a typical pre-Techlash year, like the big tech companies' peaks of coverage in their yearly timeline were just like the product launches and business reporting. So those were like the main stories. We had negative stories all the time, failures, investigations, fines, privacy issues. We had them all, but they drew considerably less coverage compared to what I called product journalism. What I saw when I analyzed 2017 was that the big stories in the coverage were totally different and were very negative with a lot of tech scandals. So that was a big shift that the data showed me. And in addition to the media monitoring and content analysis, I conducted interviews with actors in the tech industry, so tech PR executives from global PR agencies, and leading tech journalists. They came from like the leading places, Reuters, TechCrunch, the New York Times, Wired magazines, and so on. And together with all their testimonies, they actually illuminated the inside story of the Techlash. So they were really like open and honest. And they said on the record that what formed the tech backlash was the election of Donald Trump. So they were like blaming social media for the UK's Brexit referendum before that. But like their pivotal moment was the post-presidential election and the role of social media in helping Donald Trump. Then new revelations regarding the Russian interference with the US election evolved into like a bigger story, and micro-targeting advertising became this, force of evil, right? And the other thing that came from the interviews is that, it's the tech companies' scale and bigness, right? Being too big to fail. So generally, if people feel that companies have gotten like too powerful, too big, too rich, that in itself creates a backlash, right? The realization of the power of big tech just sinking, and then people started to question it a lot more. I mean, they all started a startup. Now they are the establishment, the biggest companies in the world. So if you look at the Techlash today, it's mostly focused on them, right? Those few dominant companies that we can mention. And on top of that, the data also showed me that focusing only on the political campaigns, such as Brexit or Donald Trump, or the company's bigness, won't do justice to the Techlash. We had various cases of extremist content and hate speech, major cyber attacks or data breaches, which raised the alarm about privacy violation and data protection. We had a wave of allegations of anti-diversity, sexual harassment, and discrimination culture in, Silicon Valley and beyond. So I basically documented the accumulation of various issues at once that broke the camel's back.
Yeah, it's so fascinating. And it's these key points in time as well that we can, they're all in our memory and we can relate it back to things that were going on. It's really fascinating. So your study also analysed the tech PR responses and introduced the concept of tech crisis communication. So can you tell us a bit about that and what can we learn from the tech company strategies?
Sure. So the Techlash caused reputational decline of an entire industry, right? So I decided to ask, how do companies defend themselves from this growing scrutiny? So I conducted a comprehensive content analysis of the company's press releases and spokesperson statements to journalists. Now, despite having different companies, different stories, as I mentioned, the responses were very much alike. The companies rolled out the same playbook over and over again. So I created an explanation of this playbook in the book. It's called the Tech PR Template for Crisis. So it was pretty clear that big tech was not ready to give real answers to tough questions. So I broke it into three main stages. So one strategy was the victim-villain framing. So it goes along this line. We've built something good with good intentions. We have previous good deeds. We have strict policies. But our platform was manipulated, misused by bad, malicious actors. Okay? So blaming those outsiders. The second thing was pseudo apologies. If you remember all the apology tours of Mark Zuckerberg, right? After Cambridge Analytica and everything. So many of the responses included messages of we apologize, deeply regret, we ask for forgiveness. And those messages were usually intertwined with we need to do better. This sentence, tech companies use it a lot. It usually comes in this order. While we've made steady progress, we have much more work to do.
Yeah.
And we know we need to do better. So it's the ending of every press release, right? We know we need to do better. And each tech reporter heard it, I don't know, this specific combination a million times by now, right? Now, I mentioned they said sorry and sorry and sorry, so I pseudo apologies. Well, because when you look at the literature, they used all the possibilities of reduce their responsibility. So all the elements that I mentioned in the previous stage. So it's the reminder strategy, just mentioning the past good work, the excuse strategy, we have good intentions, the victimization, we are the victim of this crisis, and of course, scapegoating, blaming others. So if you combine all those, you're not really saying sorry, right? So this is why I summarize this as big tech, big scandals, little responsibility. The third thing that all the companies, of course, had to do is state that they are proactive. This is crisis communication 101. You have to state that you are proactive. And the common sentence is, we are currently working on those immediate actions to fix this. Looking forward, we're working on those steps for improvements, minimizing the chances that it will happen again. But of course, it happened again and again and again and again. And then they added, but our work will never be done. This is not crisis communication 101. And I think I was shocked seeing it again and again. And those 7 words, but our work will never be done, It's not something that you do in a crisis because you want to say, yeah, I'm going to take care of it and it's going to be done, right?
Yeah.
But it's like big tech's, let's say, ultimate confession that the problems of their own making are too big to fix. So that was really interesting. Now, one way to look at all this, PR template is to say, well, of course that this is their messaging, right? I mean, they're being asked to stop big, difficult, societal problems. So it's an impossible request. But in reality, all of those, responses backlashed heavily in the media. So the way the tech crisis communication chapter is organized in the book, there's like a type of crisis response and how it backlashed in the media. Another type of response and how it too backlashed and so on. So like I'm emphasizing this cycle of never-ending criticism, which eventually escalated to the tech policy debate we have today.
The thing is, whenever any of us see an apology now from a big tech company, we're going to recall which kind of apology it is. Ultimately, it's like you've mentioned, it's a lack of responsibility and maybe accountability as well. It's so interesting. Honestly, Nirit, every time I see something now, I'll think of you.
That was the purpose of my book, to people to have more of a critical eye.
Absolutely. But we don't want the big Techlash people seeing this because they'll know that you find them out. All of their secrets are right. So you recently claimed that the Techlash is getting stronger. What are the other reasons for this? Is it because we have become more critical as users?
I don't think the users are the issue here. It's more like media and politicians.
Right.
Are the one doing the most of the backlash. Clearly, everything became politicized, and we're now witnessing more and more political pushback and investigations around the core issues of the Techlash: content moderation, disinformation, antitrust, and monopoly power are like the main ones. And I think like three main factors drive the Techlash today. The first one is, of course, COVID-19. While most businesses are playing defense, big tech is playing offense, right? Like they're worth trillions of dollars now. It was unheard of when I wrote the book. Like at the beginning of the pandemic, trillions of dollars was unheard of. So people are more reliant on those companies and at the same time notice their like impact on their lives. The second thing is the political issue that I've mentioned. So we had major political events, congressional hearings, grilling the tech CEOs over antitrust concerns and misinformation and disinformation. And I think above all, here in the US, the civil unrest on January 6th was this seminal moment for the Techlash, a big one. The third point that I'm thinking of is the overall framing of the tech industry. Specifically, big tech now is like the villain. And in this framing, if the tech companies are the ultimate villains, those who oppose them are the ultimate heroes, right? So when you look at all those things together, the pandemic, the political pushback, the framing in the media, it all like resulted in frustrated tech employees and a growing trend of in-house activism. And the most known example, like from a few months ago, is Facebook's whistleblower, Frances Haugen. She made this huge noise all over the world with the Facebook files and Facebook papers.
Yeah.
And it brought us to what I call the next gen Techlash. So if Techlash 1.0 was like a Cold War, Techlash 2.0 is all hell breaks loose. Like the backlash was bigger and stronger, just like the company it's fighting against, right? It's all escalated. And Facebook, being grilled by the media and politicians, changed its crisis response strategy. It moved from its famous apology tours that we've mentioned to the current no more apologies. Like now it's just counter attacks. It's engaged in like full-blown battle over the narrative, attacked the accuser, denied, like contradicted France's accusations. Two fascinating things happen after that. The first is what I call Facebook fatigue. So although the revelations were overwhelming, in the test of time, people become numb. Like, think about it. Can you remember all the scandals that were in the Facebook papers, Facebook files? I mean, like, people, Facebook did what? Responded how? Oh, well, next. We have such a short attention span that people just moved on. I mean, I think it's quite remarkable that even with the strength of the Techlash, it's still like it passes through, right?
Yeah.
And the second thing is the escalated promotion of Web3 as a solution of all our current problems. So people are sick of like the dystopian web and fantasizing about a utopian one, and many find it in the blockchain. Like this is the new optimism now. This is how we're going to fight the tech titans like Facebook with decentralization. But I think we had the same hype cycles around Web 1.0 and Web 2.0. The vision of the future was always like that the web revolution would bring an era of transformative abundance and prosperity. But, on its way to the many, the new wealth has consistently been diverted up to the few. So now, when you have all like VCs aggressively pushing Web3, I can explain it for our listeners, but it's like crypto, NFTs, decentralized finance platforms, like a bunch of blockchain stuff. They're also getting more pushback, with people calling it utopian BS, a dangerous get-rich-quick scam, or even a Ponzi scheme.
Yeah.
So I think like the lesson here is that every new technology will be looked at with a critical eye now. And I call it the Techlash filter. Like Instagram filters, that you put on pictures and change the look and feel. It's the Techlash filter. It adds this criticism layers on top of anything on the tech coverage. And it's here to stay. And as I said, only getting stronger.
Yeah. So we've got one last question for you. And you have alluded to it already. Just with what you've said in terms of the Techlash filter and the fact that the Techlash is getting stronger. What is the future of Techlash, and what are your future plans in this space, Nirit?
Well, the Techlash is a gift that keeps on giving. So I keep collecting tons of data about the shift in the tech coverage. Like just now when we talked about the change in crisis response, right? It's another shift in within. So not a boring day. It's always interesting. And I publish my own articles about it and opinion pieces in the media. The next one is about Web3. This is why I'm talking about it now. But what I would love to do next is to utilize my tech expertise back in a newsroom to contribute to the tech discourse from within, where I don't know yet, but I'm starting to pursue this path.
That would be amazing. It would be so incredibly insightful being on the inside again. That brings us to the end of our podcast. But this has been so interesting, and it's just insightful, and it's a space that continues to grow, as you've said. But thank you for your time and insight.
My pleasure. It was fun.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to today's episode. You can find a transcript of my conversations on our website, as well as more information about our guests. I'd like to thank Dr. Nirit Weiss Blatt for today's episode and Alex Youngis from This Is Distorted.